Good morning, Veritas scientists. Today is Thursday, April 30th, 2020, the last day of April. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a quick review of what we learned yesterday. We're going to read about lions, and then I'm going to give you a question to answer about lions for tonight. All right, so let's go to yesterday's lesson was about natural selection. Okay, so natural selection is that the only the strongest and healthiest animals and plants in a species will survive and will pass those traits on to their offspring or their children, right? So basically, in a species of animal, right, a certain type of animal or a certain type of plant, only the strongest, the healthiest, the smartest of those animals are going to survive. And then when they have kids, when they have babies, their babies are going to inherit. They're going to be born with those traits. All right, so the traits that made them strong, that made them smart, that made them healthy are going to be passed on to the kids, right? And then it's going to be passed on to their kids and onto their kids, which will make that species stronger over time. And then they'll be strong enough to be able to survive where they live. And it's also known as survival of the fittest. And I gave the example yesterday about the puppies. So go back and watch yesterday's video if you're still a little confused about that. But basically, natural selection is the reason why animals need to adapt. If they didn't have adaptations, then they wouldn't survive because only the strongest ones survive. So that's why these adaptations that we've been talking about are so important, because it allows that species of animal to get stronger and to survive. If they did not adapt, then that species will eventually go extinct. All right, so yesterday's question said to identify 2 structural adaptations and 2 behavioral adaptations of a gecko. And I realized when I was doing this that this was a little bit harder because we probably don't know much about geckos. So that's why today I decided we're going to talk about lions after this. But anyway, I hope that you tried, and I hope that you gave it your best effort. And I'm going to give you some of these, so you only had to identify 2, but I listed out, looks like 6 here and 6 there. So structural adaptations I'll go over first. So structural adaptations are body parts. So every time you go to decide, is it a structural adaptation, you got to think, what body part is it that has changed to help them survive? Okay, so geckos, their feet help them to climb trees, right? They have sharp claws. They're able to climb up trees easily based on the shape of their feet. Their scales camouflage them, right? So the scales is part of their body that helps them to be able to hide. They have thick skin to protect from the sun. So they live in desert areas. They live usually in very hot places. So their skin is extra thick, and that protects them from getting too hot or burned from the sun. Their eyes have large pupils so that they can see well at night, right? They are actually nocturnal most of the time, so they will hunt at night. Their pupils is the black part of your eye that allows light to come in. So they have large pupils so they can see like better than we can at night. Their skin looks like it is spiky or sharp to scare off predators, right? Let me go back to the picture of this one from yesterday, right? It's kind of hard to see, but there are these like spike-looking scales on their skin, right? So if I was going to go eat something, I would choose something else. I wouldn't want to bite into the thing with a bunch of spikes on its back, right? Let's see. Their tail, this is a cool one. Their tail can release or break off in different places, allowing them to escape from predators. And it can grow back, right? So if they're being chased, let me just draw the tail of a gecko, right? And there's his legs and there's his head. Not a very good drawing. But basically, here's its tail, right? If a predator is coming to eat it and it bites off its tail, it can release its tail. It can release that part of its tail. So then for a minute or for a few seconds, the predator is going to think he got lunch. It's going to think it ate this gecko, but really it just got a piece of its tail. And this gecko has a chance to be able to escape, right? So since its body part can actually break off in different sections, it can break off its tail so that it can run away and escape, right? And also, if it just bites it, then it's going to lose a piece of its tail. It's going to grow back, right? It's not going to die. It's just going to lose that part of its tail. It eventually will grow back, and they'll be good, and they'll survive. Okay, so those are all body parts. If you look at all those examples, feet, scales, skin, eyes, skin, tail, they all have to do with body parts, and that makes them structural adaptations. Okay. Okay, so now here's a list of behavioral adaptations. So these are also known as instincts, right? Animals are born knowing how to do these behaviors. They never have to be taught. Behavioral adaptations are instincts. They never need to be taught. They are just born knowing to do it. Okay, so geckos, when they are starving, when they're really hungry, they will eat their own tail. That's a behavior. They know, ooh, I'm hungry. My tail grows back, so I'm going to eat my own tail if I'm really, really starving, right? That is very, very smart. They can change their color to match where they're hiding. So they're like a chameleon, right? If they were on here, they would be brown. They can change their own color. If they were on my couch, they would be whatever colors my couch is, right? They can change color. If they were on Charlie, they'd be brown and white, right? So that's pretty cool. That's a behavior, though. They know they are changing their color. They are born knowing how to do that. Okay, next one, they change shape to match their surroundings. So if they're sitting on a plant, they can actually flatten their body out so that they look like a leaf, right? If they're next to a bunch of sticks, they can straighten their body out and they can change their shape to match where they are standing at that time. Okay, they are territorial and aggressive. Not all types of geckos, but most of them are very, very aggressive, right? So if an animal comes near them, they're going to attack it, right? And they're territorial. So if anything comes near their home, they're going to attack, right? That's a behavior that has helped them to be able to survive because they're going to scare away some of those predators. Okay, they live alone to avoid being seen, so they don't live in groups like we talked about wolves the other day. They don't live in packs like wolves do. They live alone. That way they can be a little more sneaky and they're able to survive. And this one's cool. They make loud sounds to scare predators away. So if a predator's coming and it hears like this really loud sound that the geckos make, it might think that animal I'm going to try to attack is a little dangerous, right? So they're going to get scared away from those loud sounds, thinking it's bigger than it really is. And then that predator is going to run away and they are going to survive. So those are all behaviors or instincts that they are born knowing how to do, and that's what makes them behavioral adaptations. All right, so when you look at these, they can involve body parts, right? But it has to be a behavior. It has to be something that they do in order to be able to survive, and they need to be born knowing how to do that. It's not something that like you have to teach these animals. They already know how to do it. Okay, so just in case we lose time when I'm reading, this is the question I want you to answer for tonight. It says, list as many structural adaptations and as many behavioral adaptations or instincts as you can for lions. You must label them as either structural or behavioral adaptations. So you might want to make a chart and just write structural adaptations on one side, list as many as you can. Behavioral adaptations, list as many as you can for lions. All right, so now we're going to read about lions. So some of the answers will be in here. I want you to rewind this and go back and pause as you need to, because you will be able to find a few of those in here. And since you know probably a good amount about lions from living in your life, you can probably add to this list of things that you know about lions. So I'm excited to learn from you guys some of the things you're able to find. All right, so here we go, reading about lions. It says, the African lion can be found mostly in the grasslands of Africa. It is a fierce predator. Many of its adaptations help it hunt. The most recognizable structural adaptation, right, body part, of a male lion is his thick mane, right, this part, this thick fur around its neck. The mane helps the lion look bigger and protects his neck from an attack. The rest of the lion's body is covered in yellow-brown fur. This helps him hide in the similarly colored grass, right? So you can see the grass in the background is all the same color as these lions, so they're easy to be able to hide. So that, again, is a body part. Lions are nocturnal, or most active at night. At night, they are able to see 6 times as clearly as humans can. So their eyes have adapted to be able to see 6 times more clearly than humans can at night, right? So that's a structural adaptation because it has to do with their eyes being so much better. Okay, it says here, lions are very strong, but spend a lot of time resting, right? They hunt at night, so they actually spend most of their day sleeping or resting. Okay, lions are social cats. They like to be around each other. They live in groups called prides. In a pride, females do most of the hunting. They work together to catch prey, and they share it with the pride. So they know that they're going to be hunting, and they're going to be sharing it with the pride that they live with. Males protect the cubs while the females hunt. While the lion is adapted to be a strong predator, it must rest to save the energy it needs to hunt. Lions can spend up to 20 hours a day resting. Right? We usually sleep about 8 hours a day. They sleep for 20 hours a day, right? Most of the day. During this time, the lion cubs play. Cubs learn to wrestle and pounce as they play. These behaviors later help them hunt and reproduce, improving their chances of survival. Right? So since they've had all of these adaptations we've just read about, they are more likely to survive, right? Natural selection is making them be able to survive, right? They have been able to get stronger. They have been able over the years to pass these behaviors and these structural adaptations down to their kids. And over many, many generations, right? Their kids are going to have kids, are going to have kids, are going to have kids. And every time they got stronger because of these adaptations, right? So that is basically what natural selection is that they are those traits that make them strong and that make these lions survive is going to be passed to their kids. And then when they're the strongest ones, they're going to pass those to their kids because those are going to be the lions that have survived. Okay, and it says, last thing I want to read is lions learn much of their behavior from their pride. All right, so your job is to identify as many structural adaptations and as many behavioral adaptations or instincts as you can for lions. Good luck, make sure you label them, and have a great day.